All right, let's get you an OB recruiting insider because recruiting never stops. It never dies. Jason Sukamel is here with all your information. We're going to get you an info on a badass in the 2027 class that Texas is taking a good look at. The question is he taking a good look at Texas? We'll find out. Texas got a commit over the last week. It's a quarterback, so we got to talk about that. Plus, we got some Q&A. Jason, always good to see you. Let's jump on in with a big name here. It is I know we've said this name before, but I want to keep bringing it up. We want to keep mentioning these big tip-top kind of names. Let's talk about Brock Williams and get an update from you. For those people that don't know this name, aren't we talking like best tight end in the country for some people?
Number 2 tight end in the country, but he's
okay
right
close.
there. Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about him before. I'm sure on this. Well, I know we have because he visited Texas in late January. You know, here's the deal, man. It's down to Texas. It's Ohio State. It's Georgia. And for the last 3 months, people have, national people have been saying, hey, Ohio State's a team to beat. Ohio State's a team to beat. I've been hearing that's not the case. And I've kind of been swimming upstream, if you will, right? And I'm saying, hey, I'm hearing Texas is in a really good spot here. I've heard some scuttlebutt after he visited for the Arkansas game. That was a while ago. That maybe Texas was even in the driver's seat. Now, that was a while ago. Things can change. Well, he did visit Texas in late January. Is the weekend we had that freeze. So I think it's the 24th or something. Right. He still made his way in. He's out of Chicago, Illinois area, Libertyville, Illinois. He came in for that visit. He and his parents, his twin brother, had a great visit. I talked to his dad afterwards, and they're like, hey, man, we loved it. Texas is very much in the thick of things. Well, he followed that up, Chad, right before the dead period. He went to Georgia and visited Georgia. He's been to Georgia a bunch. And interestingly, he went with his twin brother. He's got a twin brother who's a linebacker. Good football player, by the way. Kentucky recently offered him. So, but he and his brother went and visited Georgia. And the parents didn't go, which I thought, that's a little interesting. In recruiting, we're trying to always kind of read between the lines a little bit. And clearly the parents have a genuine trust in Georgia, right? And their son going to Georgia possibly. So the buzz coming out of that Georgia visit is maybe that Georgia has climbed into the driver's seat, or that's the feeling in Athens, at least, that they're in the lead now. I'm still sensing that there's a sense of some confidence in Austin. There was a report this week that Texas has the best NIL offer. I've heard the same. That matters. I don't think, knowing what I know of Brock Williams after talking to his father at length, they're going to look at everything. It's going to be academics. It's going to be the culture, NIL, of course. It's going to be a path to playing time. How easy is it to get back and forth if they want to come see? I mean, they're going to look at everything. They're going to be very thorough. I think they have been. It's dead period. He's going to shut it down here for a little bit. I mean, everybody is, I guess, but he's looking to decide maybe in March or April before he takes his official visit. So this is a decision we could see coming down here in the next month or two. And someone on Orange Blood said, hey, they mentioned, well, Georgia's depth chart might be a little more stacked with the way Georgia has recruited tight ends past couple of years compared to Texas. And I said, that's true. And I said, for Texas, you have some young talents on campus, Nick Townsend, Amari Winston, but those guys haven't done a whole lot yet. And, Brock is looking at that Texas depth chart saying, hey, it's pretty wide open, because, they've got a guy from the transfer portal. He'll be gone by the time I get there. So maybe he sees an easier path to playing time in Austin than he does at Georgia, maybe even Ohio State. And the good news is he's going to commit before the season starts. So let's say one of those, Nick Townsend has a breakout season. Well, he's going to be committed already. He's going to commit before that breakout season happens. So, I predicted in the 3-2-1, Chad, that Texas is going to win for Brock Williams. Again, I know I'm sticking my neck out. And I'll be honest, it's a little bit of me it's kind of just a guess because I haven't heard that.
I was going to ask you how sturdy that limb is. I was worried about
Not very. I mean, I know I'm sticking my neck out again. I know I'm going against the grain here and against what everybody else is saying. Everybody else is saying Georgia. They were saying Ohio State. nobody's been giving Texas a chance at all. I've been saying that's a mistake, man. And hey, can I just be completely honest? Sometimes I write that 3-2-1, 3 things we know or we learned, 2 predictions or 2 questions. I'm sorry, 1 prediction. Sometimes that damn prediction's the hardest thing to come up with, Chad.
I bet. Yeah.
I can only make so many commitment predictions, especially in the 3-2-1 this week. I predicted Texas. I said, here's what I think the recruiting class is going to look like. So I was like, well, I've already made about 20 commitment predictions. Like what? So I went with Brock picking Texas. I would put it at 50-50, maybe at best. I think I'm kind of hoping for a little bit of an upset, if anything.
Okay.
That Georgia visit, they got the last visit. The fact that he visited without his parents, there are some signs that make me think Georgia. But I think Texas can still get this done for, again, number 49 ranked player in the country overall, number 2 ranked tight end in the country overall. Texas has recruited some good tight ends. Nick Townsend, I think, is a really good player, but they haven't recruited a guy like this, a top 50 national tight end. They just haven't. Yeah. Jeff Banks hasn't done that. I mean, the guys that Texas has put into the NFL, Jatavian Sanders and Gunnar Helm, they were recruited by Tom Herman's staff. So this would be a big win for Texas, a big win for Jeff Banks if he can get it done. I'm going to be really anxious to see if they can kind of close the deal on this one.
Yeah, that's a great point, Jason. Not just saying that you appreciate the tight end and that you're going to use the tight end in the offense, but show us that on the field, but then recruit these kind of guys too.
Yeah.
Have this type of guy. And man, obviously I don't know this particular kid, but what a great opportunity for Brock. Those are the 3 schools he's trying to choose between. Yeah. If he's a stud, there's almost no way it doesn't work out if he ends up in Athens, Columbus, or Austin. It's going to be wild to see. Maybe good news, Jason, that a Chicago area kid isn't focused on Ohio State, isn't focused on the Midwest school.
Well, not focused, but they're obviously one of the finalists. But, it's funny you mentioned, I was talking to his dad, and I got the impression after that Texas visit that things were generally open. I don't think he was favoring anybody. I certainly don't think his mind was made up. Mm-hmm. And his dad and I were talking about that very subject. I was like, well, you really can't go wrong with any of those choices. I mean, those are 3 of the bluest of blue bloods. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're all good academically. They all use the tight end. They're, teams that are should be competing for championships year in and year out. So I can understand why it's a tough choice. If you're like, he goes to Ohio State for a visit. He's like, oh my gosh, I love it here. He goes to Georgia. It's like, oh my gosh, I love it here. I feel comfortable. Yeah. But then he comes to Texas, like, oh my God, I love the city of Austin. I love the Texas program, the culture, and the people. So I think he really likes all 3. It's not one of these cases where a guy's listing 3 or is listing 5, but he kind of knows where he's going to go, and there's one where he just feels in his heart. I don't think that's the case with Brock. I think he generally has a love affair with all 3 of these schools right now.
Yeah, I mean, you want some history. You want a great Saturday environment. You want tailgating. You want a stadium everybody talks about going to. Like, he's got 3 of them just lined up. It's going to be interesting to see where Brock Williams ends up. Don't forget that name, Brock Williams, the tight end out of Evansville, Illinois, and Texas, Georgia, Ohio State on the list. All right, Jason, let's get your thoughts on the commit for Texas over the last week. Another guy we've talked about. You've talked about it's Smithson Valley, right? Smithson Valley quarterback, Tai Newton. We talked about it when he got the offer, and now he's decided to commit.
Yeah, I really like this pickup. I think it makes perfect sense for both sides. Tai was waiting for that Texas offer, waiting. He came to some games in the fall, Texas home games. AJ Milwee went to one of his practices, watched him throw, and he didn't get the offer. But Tai always kept his head up and was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep working and see where it takes me. And he came to the junior day on January 17th, got that offer. And I've said this before, but, why it makes sense is Texas just got Diabell. They got KJ Lacey the year before that. You probably weren't going to go out and get a 5-star type right after getting Diabell and even KJ Lacey with what we're hearing how well he's doing in Austin. So you had to get a guy that kind of maybe just loved the program, wants to be competitive, but is also willing to be patient and knows he's going to have to work, and he's not maybe going to walk in and be year 1 contributor. Well, I think Tai would tell you if you talk to him, he has confidence, but he knows, hey, it might take a year or two and see what happens with those guys in front of him. And, maybe have to beat one of those guys out eventually. But it's kind of, I said after getting Arch Manning, who are you going to go get after Arch Manning? Well, Texas goes out and gets Trey Owens. Perfect. He's kind of not a lower ranked guy, but he's not a high 4-star, not a 5-star. He's a guy that wanted to be at Texas. Trey had some good moments at Texas, but ultimately things didn't work out because other guys behind him have been really good. So he leaves, but Tai comes in, he'll bide his time, and maybe a year or 2 years from now, maybe, or 2 years after he gets on campus, he may be your backup. Who knows? If things go well, maybe he isn't competing for your starting quarterback job. Yeah. He's about 6'3.5", 210, Chad.
Like that.
Yeah, runs the ball really well. He's an effective runner, super accurate. I think he was 67% completions. I don't have it in front of me right now. And I need to pull it at like 29-3, I think, on interceptions. So, a guy that –
nice.
Yeah, real smart with the football. 29 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 65% completions, 2,600 yards, rushed for 232 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I've made this comparison on Orange Bloods. I made it on Anwar's show on Tuesday morning. Who he has a little bit of his story and his style of play? Colt McCoy.
Oh, no pressure.
I'm not saying he's going to be a Heisman finalist.
No pressure.
Not saying he's going to play in a national championship game. I'm not saying he's going to have a long NFL career. He might. He might do all those things.
78% completion. Is that what you're guaranteeing, everybody?
He might. But just the fact that he's a gamer. He's a 2-time state champion at Smithson Valley. He's competitive. He can run the ball effectively. He's accurate. He's smart. He's got a little bit of Colt in his game. And he's an underdog.
And his name's Tai Newton. Just like a Colt McCoy, the name does kind of roll off the tongue, and the name sounds like that uniform. I'll never forget hearing Colt McCoy's name the first time where I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a Texas quarterback. And there is something about Tai Newton that I think, yeah, that makes sense. Throw that guy in a burnt orange and throw that helmet on him. See if it works.
Someday I'm going to talk to Tai about that comparison. I'm going to tell you who I've compared you to. And Tai may be like, God, I barely remember Colt McCoy. He's so young. And I'll tell him about the Colt McCoy, Ryan Perley story. Nobody was paying that much attention to Colt. Everybody was so focused on Ryan Perley. And then Colt ends up being the superstar.
Jason, be careful. We're so old now. Tai Newton might say, who? Who are you?
Exactly. Well, then I'll tell him all the background of it too, Chad.
There you go.
Sit down, son. Let me tell you a story.
Let me tell you about Colt McCoy. It's the OB Recruiting Insider. So the latest commit for Texas ends up being Tai Newton in 2027. And, of course, they hope that at some point Brock Williams adds to that 2027 class at the tight end position. We hit both of those names. We also have some Q&A coming up. Remember, orangebloods.com. Get signed up and you will never leave. Each and every week, Jason gets you with that 3-2-1 article that we've been referencing. We always hit some of it. We can't hit every single bit of it. Go check it out. In fact, this week, Jason gets you kind of he throws together a dream 2027 class for you. Dream class on offense, dream class on defense. Then there's kind of a realistic group of, all right, let's get real. Let's not go too crazy. What could it actually be? It's all in there. And there's some Q&A as well. We're going to hit a few of those right now. So Jason, let's start with this one. I was actually in the Waxahachie area over the weekend. How about a little, do you expect Texas to attempt to flip JaQuan Snell from Waxahachie, who has committed to A&M?
Yeah, JaQuan Snell, one of the top safeties in the country, as you said, Chad, committed to A&M. And my answer to that was, yeah, absolutely. They'll try to flip him. Why would they not? He's an elite player. Texas was always in that race. A&M kind of surged late and got his commitment. Could Texas recapture some of that fire? Sure. And it'll be interesting because Blake Gideons comes back. Dwayne Akina is out in terms of he was doing some of that recruiting. Who's going to be the main recruiter? What kind of relationship does he have with Blake Gideons? All these things will matter as to whether or not Texas has even a chance to flip him. And here's the other side of that. When he first committed to Texas A&M, I was told, hey, he got a pretty sweet NIL offer from Texas A&M. So if you're going to flip him, you're going to have to be very serious about it with your intentions and how you recruit him. How aggressive will Texas be? I don't know the answer to that, but they'd love to flip him. I'm sure they'll give him every opportunity to try to get him on campus. we'll see if they get any traction out of those efforts.
So Jason, from your recruiting, standpoint, if they, if the coaches hit you up and said, "Hey, JaQuan Snell, is this worthy of hitting the button? Is this worthy of, like, do we need to outbid the Aggies for this guy and just, flex a little Texas muscle? Like, is he that good?"
I think he is, honestly.
Okay.
But some of that will depend on, who else they've got, what other safeties they're recruiting, how do they like him, how are the young guys on campus looking? You're not going to recruit him if you got, hey, we got Jonah Williams is going to be a stud for us for the next few years, or
that's true.
Some of these young players. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of variables that go into that. I mean, roster management now, Chad, is such puzzle pieces have to fit, right? And you can't overspend here because then you're going to be short here where you might need it even more. So, we'll have to kind of see how the coaches feel about their needs at safety. They've got Greedy James, their commitment, can play some safety for you. So, they've got some guys there they like, but JaQuan Snell is a fantastic player. So if you can make the numbers work, make it make sense where it doesn't hurt you too much in other places, he's worth a big spend. Yeah.
Yeah. Longhorns will definitely keep recruiting one JaQuan Snell, even though he is committed to A&M right now. All right. Question number 2, Jason, another big name. This one Texas has as a commit right now. Does Texas hold on to Easton Royal and fend off the Wolves? If you could also define who the Wolves would be here, Jason, that'd be nice.
That's everybody and anybody that wants Easton Royal. I mean, Easton Royal is a 5-star receiver, diamond guy on our rankings on Orange Bloods. Number 7 national ranked player in the country. He's a speed burner.
That's all positions, number 7?
All positions, regardless of position.
Okay.
He's going to run track in college. He's the type of player that Steve Sarkisian would like stay up late dreaming about, or daydreaming about it, or night dream, whatever it would be. Just the scheming ways to get Easton Royal the ball. When he first committed to Texas, Chad, it kind of came, let's say, out of nowhere, because he had visited Texas and he liked Texas and he and I talked about Texas, but he never gave the impression he was close to committing. Well, he ends up committing to Texas early. And it's funny because my initial reaction when he committed was, yeah, that's probably not going to stick. He committed on November 29th. And I think he'd come in maybe for that A&M game. Does that sound about right? The dates on that? But my initial reaction was, that's not going to stick. It's so early. And then, I was like, LSU is going to still be involved and all these other schools. And then you get the Lane Kiffin hire at LSU. And it's like, okay, that seems even less likely. And Lane Kiffin's already visiting him at school. But I'm telling you, the longer this goes on, and I've had numerous conversations with Easton, the longer it goes on, Chad, the more I like Texas's chances of holding on to him, even with Lane Kiffin at LSU. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy at all. I mean, schools like Florida and Miami and Georgia, they're still coming after him. And he still is probably going to take some visits. I think he visited Florida in late January, but he also visited Tech. He came in that weekend of the freeze. Right? He could have been like, it's not worth it. But no, he still flew into Austin and spent multiple days with the Texas coaches during that weekend of the freeze. So my hunch was like, I think Texas holds on to him, man. I mean, and again, this one's going to be a battle all the way till he signs in December. So we're talking 10 months down the road. He's going to take other visits, but he does really like Texas, likes the offense, likes the coaches, likes the city of Austin. I mean, obviously NIL's, I'll tell you this. I've talked to Easton before and he said, hey, NIL is going to be like the 4th most important thing for me. It's about culture. It's about scheme and development. Now, that's easier said than done when you're like, okay, well, this team's going to give you $250,000 more than what this other team's giving you.
Right. We have developed this money to hand to you. What do you think about that?
So I get it. Within reason, NIL may not be a big factor, but if one team comes in and says, hey, we're going to go way higher, then that becomes an issue. So, but right now, I like Texas's chances now better than I did the day he committed.
Interesting.
Even with the LSU stuff and the LSU visits and the Florida visit and Lane Kiffin visiting him. Yeah.
Okay. So just to, and to clarify here, this is a Louisiana State kid, right? Is it New Orleans area?
Yes. He's from New Orleans, Brother Martin High School in New Orleans. Exactly. I should have said that off the top. Yeah. He's a Louisiana kid. LSU is saying, dude, look at our history of receivers recently.
Absolutely.
Of guys from the state of Louisiana. We can't let you go. How many visits on our face? So
how many visits are we talking about? How many times have you been to Baton Rouge so far?
I don't know about Baton Rouge. I guess multiple, but I know Kiffin visited him at his school.
Right.
But he's been to Austin 3 or 4 times already. So
Okay. That'll just be an interesting, I think, tote board to keep up with, right? Is he going to make a visit, and where is it? If I'm a Texas fan, maybe I don't flip out if he visits somewhere else. I do keep a track of how many times is he visiting LSU.
Yes, next time I talk to him, I'll ask him that very question. How many times have you visited LSU? How many times Texas? How many times some of these other places?
Yeah. And like we've done before on the Recruiting Insider, Jason, those two teams do face off in Baton Rouge. That'll be one, we've said this too before. That'll be one of those games you hope he doesn't want to show up as a recruit.
Hope he has a Saturday night game or something, the same time that game's going on or something.
Right? Like maybe there'll be something else Easton Royal has to do than go to Tiger Stadium.
Yeah. And I was texting earlier, Easton does have his official visit set up to Texas. He is planning on coming back this spring for a spring practice. So, I mean, he's doing the right things as far as these Texas visits and keeps coming back. So.
Yeah, Texas fans, keep your eyes and ears peeled for Easton Royal information. Get on orangebloods.com. Check all that out. One more question here for you, Jason, this week. It's about Sark in general. How do you see Sark adjusting to the recruiting horizon as far as prioritizing high school versus portal recruits in the coming years? That's the question of all questions.
Yeah, I'm curious to hear what you say, but I mean, this is always evolving, right? I mean, it's just constantly evolving. I don't know if Sark knows the answer to that looking at next January. He's always said like, hey, we're not going to live in the portal. We're not. But yet this January, in that short window, they were more aggressive than they've ever been with guys like Cam Coleman and the offensive tackle and, going linebackers. And I mean, they were aggressive in terms of numbers and spending. So to me, how do you do that? Like, how do you balance it? I think that's the word. It has to be a balance. You can't go all in on the portal and abandon high school recruiting. That's suicide. You can't count on that every single year, but you can't abandon the portal either and go in on all in on high school recruiting. You've got to find guys like the Brock Williams of the world, like the Ishmael Kamaras. Okay. I mean, these guys will be likely multiple year starters for you. You're going to have to spend on those guys out of high school. And then if you hit on them, those are great, man. You get 3 years, maybe 2-3 year starters out of those guys. And those are your all-American type players. You've got to have those guys, but you still have to go into the portal. Texas obviously had a huge need at linebacker, huge need at offensive line. They went in the portal and filled those as best they could. Wide receiver, Cam Coleman. I mean, they had a huge need at wide receiver for a guy like Cam Coleman. He was a luxury. Yeah, he's a luxury for anybody. They needed a receiver. Did it have to be Cam Coleman, that level? I don't know. But, it's up for debate. But Texas was aggressive. They're swinging for the fences this year. So I like the philosophy. I think it's a good philosophy. Some people are like, the portal is so compact. It's basically 2 to 3 weeks. And that's all we're talking about. Portal. And everybody's like, just do everything in the portal. Do everything in the portal. I'm like, no, that's a very short-sighted approach. I get it. That's where everybody's excited about right now. But high school recruiting still matters. It's just spread out. Come April, May, June, July, nobody's going to be talking about the portal. They're all going to be talking about, can Texas keep Easton Royal? Is Brock Williams going to stick? Where's Ishmael Kamara going to commit? Those dudes matter. Those dudes are foundational pieces of your program you can build around for multiple years. So I just think you got to find the right balance to portal and high school recruiting.
Yeah, I think there's a good NFL analogy to it as well. It's like, did that NFL team do a good job in the draft, or did they do a good job with free agency? Yes.
Both.
That needs to be the answer. It needs to be both. Look at what the Seahawks have done the last couple of years draft-wise, but the acquisition of a guy like Darnold, and then what did they do? They grabbed Shaheed as the season's going along. Trade deadline, they grab him from another NFC team, and he makes an immediate impact. I mean, you got to do both of those things hard. But as you've talked about, Jason, there's no way you can leave discussions like Easton Royal and Brock Williams and Kamara and Fasusi and Decorian Moore. You can't leave those discussions on the table. If you're Texas, you have to have those discussions, and you got to go after a lot of those guys hard.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking Fasusi and Decorian. Those guys are going to be multiple year starters, and we may be talking about those guys as All-Americans as early as next year,
Yeah.
then you still get another year out of them. So, I mean,
you can't show no interest there. Great question though. That's an awesome question. Whoever sent you that Q&A was awesome. All right, that covers the Q&A, and we'll just about wrap us up. Again, let me remind you, orangebloods.com. I'll leave that up as we finish. Hit orangebloods.com, get signed up, check out all the great recruiting content. The 321 article, Rumor Mill, Truths and Lies. Of course, there's the War Room every Thursday night. And when there's a commitment, you're going to get full attention on that. If Texas gets a commitment, you're going to get an instant analysis on the player, who'd they get, why does it matter, all that kind of good stuff. So check that out. Tai Newton as an example. You want to go find out a little more about Tai? Hit orangebloods.com. You might be a Smithson Valley fan. You love Tai Newton, and you're like, oh, yeah, let's go make sure they got all the information right on Tai. Go check it out, orangebloods.com. Get signed up, and you will never want to leave. Thank you for jumping in this week with us. We debut Wednesdays at 10 a.m., wherever you're checking us out and whenever. We appreciate your support. We'll talk to you next Wednesday at 10. We'll debut another OB Recruiting Insider, because recruiting never dies. Y'all be careful. It's Orange Bloods Live. See ya.